Shivananda Sharma Memorial RV College, one of the institutions of the RV groups, video lecturers and ISR initiative. SMRV College, one of the premier institutes run by the prestigious RV group of institutions, has come up with a unique initiative to engage students at the time of this unforeseen medical emergency caused by corona outbreak. As a socially responsible institution, we would like to connect academically with students to make good the losses caused. In connection to the same, today we have two of the students of final year BBA, Akul and Anusha, who's going to post a video or is going to present a topic on a topic relating to the subject international finance. The topic would be World Bank. Kindly watch the video till the end, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, I'm unmuting Akul. He's going to start with the introduction. Okay, you're on.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Anusha and I will be talking about World Bank. Before we start, I hope everyone's staying indoors and I hope everyone's safe and sound. Okay, then let's start off with the PPT. Ma'am, PPT slides.
You're able to see the screen, right? There's the slides on. Akul? What's happening? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So let's start off. So basically, World Bank is an international financial institution that provides loans and grants to its member countries. So basically, how it all started, it started back right when World War II ended. So what happened that time was most of the countries, most of the whole world was in ruins. So it was formed in 1944 to rebuild Europe and Japan for the money. And then what happened in 1970, World Bank issued its first loan to Japan to rebuild the whole country, etc. and stuff. So since then, what happened is it started giving out loans to other countries as well. It started with just 34 countries in the world, but now it's come up to almost 189 countries. So the countries are called shareholders. You can just call them as customers, but yeah, they're called as shareholders. So the main goal of the World Bank is to end extreme poverty and help countries develop. For example, I'll give you, let's just say in India, almost 16,000 plus kilometers of roads were built by the help of World Bank. World Bank gave us the money to make the roads. So to give you a little more idea or help on how the World Bank works. So basically what it does is, the first question everyone gets is, how does the World Bank make money in the first place to give it to other countries? So the World Bank mainly borrows money from capital markets at very low interests. So they borrow money at very low interests and give it to other countries with a little percentage. It also makes money from funds raised from financial markets, earnings on investments. Yeah, the World Bank does invest in different projects all over the world, and the money it makes, it distributes and helps other countries. And also, to become a member, you have to pay a certain fees. If your country is a member, your country is paying some sort of fees. I'll get back to you on that in the future slides that's going to come. And other contributions that are given to the World Bank. Yeah. So that's about how it works. So the World Bank gives loans and grants money to countries to help develop and fight some of the issues that specific country might be facing. For example, Africa is one of the highest receivers of funds from the World Bank because it needs a lot of help economically and in various other ways. Yeah. The other thing, what I wanted to tell you guys on how World Bank is important and how we need World Bank is what's happening right now. We have the pandemic going on, the COVID-19. So what's happening is, due to the pandemic, most of the country's economy is in ruins all over the world. So what the World Bank is doing is not just helping fight economy crisis, but it's also helping with frontline COVID-19 response. So some of the things they are doing right now is they're planning long-term recovery for the countries that have hit on a major scale. You know how, and also how everywhere we're running out of the whole countries all over the world, the countries are depleting their medical supplies, personal protective equipment are rapidly on the decrease all over the world, and speed is of the essence. So what the World Bank is doing to help these countries is they're lending money to build up these quarantine hospitals, they're supplying ventilators and all of these medical supplies, etc. Right now in Africa, World Bank has mobilized up to $57 billion to frontline health services for setting up quarantine hospitals, medical supplies, etc. So told you guys what the World Bank is doing at a time like this. Just to give you an idea on what the World Bank does, it not only gives you money, it also helps in these circumstances. If your country is a member of the nation, of the World Bank. Yeah, just give me a second. Yeah, I told you guys about the mission. So World Bank has, its portfolio is $400 billion. So imagine the World Bank is worth $400 billion. It can use money up to $400 billion to help countries with whatever they need. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, the headquarters is in America, the States, in Washington, D.C., which is also the capital of the United States. Okay. And then how does it work? Remember, I told you, I'll tell you how your country is a shareholder and how you have to pay. So basically, there are 189 countries who are the members. So every country, to be a member, it has to pay a certain amount of fees. So in the next slide, you will see the US has the highest voting power. So what happens is your voting percentage is directly proportional to the fees you pay. The number of shares that a country owns will depend on the fees that they have paid to the World Bank. These fees will largely depend on the size of the economy. So if you have one share, that means you have one voting rights. And next you can see the US is almost 15.85%, and then followed by Japan. Look at the chart over there. You can zoom in as well. You can zoom in and see. First comes the States, Japan, China, Germany, France, UK. And in the sixth position, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh position stands India. Yeah. And that's about it. I've told you guys about the history. I've given you guys an introduction on what the World Bank does and how it helps. Next, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge will take over because that's her Zoom name. Anusha, take over, please. Thanks, guys. Anusha.
Hello.
Yes, Anusha, you are audible. Please carry on.
Hi, everyone. Anusha here. Thank you, Akul, for mentioning that I will change my name. Anyway, I'll just start over with the World Bank organizational structure. So here, the board of directors for the bank consists of 25 executive directors. Okay, and the president has traditionally always been an American. This is actually due to the informal agreement that was made when the organization was established. So basically, we know that the World Bank and the IMF were both created by the Bretton Woods agreement. And following this agreement, we had an informal agreement which was made by the US that they chose US to be the head of the World Bank and Europe would choose to be the head of the IMF. So therefore, the president is always an American. So anyway, now I will just talk about the World Bank Group. So this World Bank Group consists of 5 international organizations. So which are, next slide, yeah. So the first one, as you can see, is IBRD, which stands for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So here, in this group, for poverty-stricken country, this is an institution which offers invaluable services. You see these countries struggle to take on traditional loans since the interest payments being extremely high. In this scenario, the World Bank steps in and helps them out with So since it has a AAA rating with a credit rating agency and the debt instruments are backpacked by the capital commitments of the members, countries, and the fact that they have the large financial reserves, this means that they can borrow money from the capital market relatively cheaply, mainly through sell-off bonds, which are known as World Bank bonds, and then channel these money to developing countries at an extremely low interest rate, making borrowing more affordable for those countries that really need it. In fact, the rate is usually below the rate that the bank is paying to its bondholders. So to offset this, there will always sometimes lend money at a higher rate to more wealthy developed countries. So the rate of interest would be higher for the developed countries. So that is about IBRD. Now we'll go to the second group, that is IDA. Next slide. Yeah. So similar to the one we just discussed, except this agency works with really poorest country. Like to be in this group, the country must have an average income per capita or per capita income below $885, that is $885 per year. Now let's put that into perspective. In the US alone, per capita income is around $60,000 per year. So you can just see the huge gap there. Now the country in this group can receive interest-free loans or grants in many cases. The borrow countries may not even have to start repayment until 10 years after the loan has been issued. So this is about IDA. So these IDA and IBRD is the two most important agencies and the two most thing in the world group. So we'll just talk about the other three, which are critically not that important, but yeah. We have the next one is IFC, the next slide. Which is International Financial Cooperation. So here in this, so this IFC promotes growth through financing private sector's investment. The fourth one would be MIGA, that is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agencies. So these agencies helps to promote foreign investments by protecting investors from losing their guarantees. And then comes the fifth group, that is the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. So this group deals with the disputes between foreign investors and the host countries. So this is about the 5 groups of the World Bank. Now we'll just talk about the support that World Bank has given to India. The next slide. Yeah. So here it says, India is a home to over 1/4 of the world's poor, and the World Bank Group is focused on sharing best practices as well as financing for development as part of its mission to help reduce poverty. So for instance, in India, the World Bank has funded the constructions of nearly 10,000 miles of roads that connect poor rural communities to the schools, markets, and clean water sources. So the project stimulated rural economies and improved quality of life for thousands of people. So that's a little gist about the World Bank support to India. So actually in the year 2019, we had a recent discussion by Malpass. So if you guys don't know, David Malpass, next slide, the previous one. Suggestions to India by Malpass on his recent visit to India. Yeah. So people who doesn't know, David Malpass is the current president of World Bank. On his recent visit to India, he said, to aid growth, India must undertake financial reforms in these 3 key sectors or key areas. So mainly first would be these non-banking financial companies. So it should have a sound regulations to these NBFCs companies. So that was his first suggestion. And second one, he comes to the private sectors to allow the private sector banks to play a major role than public sectors. So second one, he suggested to allow the private sector banks to play a major role in the market. And third one being to deepen the capital market so that the people can invest on both primary as well as secondary market. So this is about his recent suggestions. Anyway, now we'll just talk about the criticisms. So far we have seen World Bank is doing very good, but it has its own criticisms and critiques. So first one would be, it was started to reduce poverty, but now since the American is always the president, so it has its, usually the business interest is mainly focused for the states, that is United States. And second one, it is deeply implicated in contemporary models of donors and the NGO-driven criticisms. I'm talking about criticisms. The slide is on what is World Bank now. Yeah. So it is deeply implicated in contemporary models of donor and the NGO-driven imperialism. Third one would be as I mentioned earlier, the president of the bank is always a US citizen. It has its bane to the US citizens. So lack of transparency to the external publics and the decision-making structure is undemocratic. It is an instrument for the promotion of US or the Western interest usually promotes these US or the Western ideas or the interest. Then it has a consistency pushed at a neoliberal agenda. So that is about a few criticisms that we face from World Bank. So the next one would be what is World Bank doing right now? So the last year, the World Bank provided $23.6 billion for 279 projects in developing countries worldwide with financial or technical advice aimed at helping those countries to reduce poverty. So next, the bank is currently involved in more than 1,800 projects in virtually every sector and in developing countries. And there are more than 63,000 donor-funded development projects worldwide, so wherein each governed by countless demands, guidelines, and procedures designed to protect the projects and ensure to aid to aid the poor. So this is just a gist about what is World Bank doing right now. So yeah, I think I am done with it. Thank you.
Hope everybody have got some information about what's World Bank. So just listen carefully. IMF and World Bank is the last chapter of your international finance subject. So make sure you study a few things about this. So if you can look into the previous year question papers, which I've already shared on the drive, you will see one question in section C for definite from either of the topics. So prepare well, and thank you Anusha and Akul. So I'm going to end the meeting and I'm going to share the slides with you soon.